What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Optimize You. I am your host, Alex Wojciechowski. And first off, if you have been enjoying the pod, make sure you pop over to Apple, Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening, and give us a rating, like, subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we are dropping. Tuesdays is with me and my boy Matt. Thursdays is what you got right here. It's just me, and I'm just kind of talking about my life. And basically just got back into Arizona from Minnesota. I was up there at a wedding, and then after the wedding, just stayed through Thanksgiving. So I was up there for a few weeks, and it was a change of pace. So I went from initially being 85 degrees in Phoenix, where I'm living right now. It was 30 when I got into Minnesota, and so I caught a cold, felt like shit. And I also I slept like complete shit on my ride up there. So I had like 3-4 hours of sleep. I kind of pushed the drive. I tried to get as far as I could, and it led me to not getting much sleep that night. And so then I got up and I drove the rest of the way. I woke up with a fucking huge knot in my shoulder blade. And then that led to me just not being able to sleep for the rest of the trip. So I literally have had the lowest energy that I've had in a long time. As far as I can really remember, just have not been feeling amazing. I've not had that energy boost that I normally have. And with that comes sometimes worse decisions for me. Because I know for me, when I'm not as energized, like I feel like I don't have as much willpower. I'm not like, it's easier for me to convince myself of maybe eating less quality foods, or, let's kind of half-ass the workout or not get the normal thing in, or let's get a little shorter walk in today. It's a little bit easier for me to convince myself and make excuses and to not do the things that I really want to do. And so I've been struggling a little bit with that. I got back. I've had a few good nights of sleep since I've got back in Arizona. So it's starting to trend upward, but it's been the lowest that I've had in a long, long time. So I got to definitely, and to be quite honest, I have not been dialing in my nighttime routine. That's kind of where it all starts for me. Shutting things down at a good time, not watching too much. Like sometimes I have the tendency to just watch tons of Netflix at night. Like it's just we're done with work. We're done with everything. Let's just chill. Let's relax. Let's sit on the couch. Let's watch some random show, movie, whatever it may be. And I think that can be good. It has its benefits, but for me, it can just turn into just way too much, right? It kind of turns into just episode after episode of binge, and then that can come into the next day. I'm just not getting as good a sleep, all of that stuff. And so we're struggling a little bit. And also on the way back, I didn't talk about this, but on the way back from Minnesota, I ran into a snowstorm. And so I'm going to try to not drive, maybe do twice a year drive up there and just fly and put Coco into a border or something like that when I go. But I ran into a snowstorm. It was brutal. I was basically white knuckling it for 7 hours. It felt like a 7-hour workout. I was just sitting there oh my God, I couldn't see the road for the first 3 hours. And because it was snow covered, and I was like, I just need to get the fuck out of here. However slow I have to go to get out of here. I want to get home. I'm done with this shit. And so I kind of pushed through, and 7 hours into the ride, I finally got past the rough road conditions, and I was able to set my cruise control, and I was able to just relax for the rest of the drive, which was good because it was a brutal first 7 hours of that drive. I would go up to being the worst drive I've ever had in my life. Actually, that was exhausting, mentally, physically, just slipping all over the place. They just don't have in the South. In the North, where I'm from, Minnesota, it's obvious there's just going to be fucking snow, right? You're coming into snow. It doesn't matter what you do. Every year you're going to get a few feet of snow, or 3 feet, 4 feet, whatever it may be. You're going to get a fucking shitload of snow, right? That's where I'm from. Oklahoma, which is around where got absolutely pummeled with terrible conditions, cold weather, all that stuff. I can't imagine they deal with it on a regular basis. And so I don't think there's as much snow plows any, things to ice or salt the road, stuff like that. That kind of thing just does not, I don't think, exist as much down there. So I get it. And I get the fact that there's probably the people down there don't necessarily drive in those conditions. And so, you run into some people going like 3 miles an hour, and it can be frustrating. But I try to remind myself, hey, the people down here do not deal with the conditions that we do up in Minnesota. And so push through, we're good. Really the focus for me this week is just getting my sleep dialed again. I have not been feeling amazing because of the low energy, and it's leading into other things. So I'm really gonna just start dialing that in tonight. Tonight we're gonna start dialing it in. Haven't been doing it as good, but I have been getting a lot of sleep, which has been good. It's just like not the same time. I haven't been keeping a consistent schedule, and I just have not been on point. So we're gonna run with that. And really, I don't have too much this week. Like I just am not. I don't have a ton. I'm doing the setup. I kind of like the whole sitting vibe right now, and so I'm using this other mic, and we'll see. It feels chiller. Oh, the last thing is on. I've been really, really focusing on being kinder to myself. Really focusing on being more of my own best friend, and I will say, there's a lot to this, right? There's a lot to this. I've bought in more than I have in the past into this. And I did notice myself actually like having the thought of like, wow, I like myself a lot more, when I am this kind of person, when I'm not beating myself up over things that happen, or, just allowing one thing, like allowing my standards to be so high. And like, I think that there's one thing to make mistakes or to do things we don't want to do. It's another thing to like just continue thinking about it over and over and over again and saying, fuck, like, why did you do that? All that stuff, just getting frustrated with yourself. And really like, especially with these things, like they already happened, right? They're already in the past. There's nothing we can do about them. It really doesn't have any benefit to beat yourself up over it. This is something that has been a huge struggle for me my whole life. It's just being, having these super duper high standards, and it's hard to live up to that stuff all the time, right? It's not to say we can't, and I have for, very long periods of time been very disciplined and really lived up to a lot of the stuff that I was trying to do and that I said I was going to do. But there's going to come periods of time that it's just very difficult. And one thing I've been trying to remind myself as well is like life in general, anything that we're going after, it is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We're not always going to every day be able to continue pushing forward, right? Like it's not always going to work out that we can have linear progress. Like that's very unrealistic. And I've found that I think deeply ingrained in me is that expectation of, every day we're supposed to get better. And that's not to say you can't, but it's almost like I have this expectation there shouldn't be steps back, right? There shouldn't be roadblocks or speed bumps or whatever it is that's going to come into our way. And I'm really trying to keep that at the forefront of my mind. 2 step forward, 1 step back. Like there's going to be, I'm still moving forward in that sense, but there's going to be these steps back throughout the process. And when I have that expectation, when it happens, I'm not surprised by it, right? I'm not surprised when that shit happens. And so I'm really trying to do that. I'm really trying to just like go with the flow a little bit more, like understand all I can really do is prepare, right? If I just prepare to the best of my ability for things and I do my best during the course of the thing, then that's all I can fucking do, right? I can't do anything better. Like whatever happens is going to happen from there. So in a sense, I'm kind of just, I'm really embodying more faith of just like, you know what, do your best and let whatever's going to happen. And I found that it's a lot less stressful going through life this way. And so we'll see how it goes. Going to continue pushing forward, going to continue trying to get better, going to continue trying to be more of my own best friend. That's just a constant process. It's tough. It's a lot of hard work that we're doing here. I think it's one of the hardest things ever to be like more kind to yourself. It's this whole deeply ingrained thing within me to be a fucking asshole to myself. And I think that's with everybody, right? We have this voice in our head that doesn't fucking stop talking, that's constantly just putting us down, saying stuff to us that we would just fucking turn around and whack a person if they said it to us. But that's the norm, and that's the standard that we hold for ourselves. And so once we can kind of start to tear that apart a little bit and understand that, we are human. We're going to make mistakes. Shit's going to happen. We're going to make decisions we're not proud of. We're going to do a lot of different things throughout our week, throughout our day, throughout our life. It's a little bit easier to kind of have that grace, give yourself the grace. And I don't want you to give yourself grace in the sense of that, like, oh, this is all okay, right? Like still there has to be some sort of amount of discipline there, but understanding that, like, especially when things happen, like we can learn from it, right? I think it's the big thing, like learn from the thing. But if we're constantly putting ourselves down because of it, we're not doing any good towards that. We're not doing anything that's going to help us get better for next time. And so I would just challenge you, if you're listening out there, what can you do to be a little bit kinder to yourself, to be a little bit more like your best friend? Can you step outside of who you are and think of it, the relationship, as if it is with the person that you love the most in this world? Right? Because we're going to act a lot different that way. We're going to treat ourselves a lot different if we come from a place of that, as opposed to coming from a place of, oh, I have to be perfect with all this stuff or else I'm a failure, right? That's a place that I've come from for a long period of time, and it just really hasn't worked out for me. So I'm trying something new, and we'll see where we go from here. We'll see where we go. Every week it seems to be a little bit something different, but I'm trying to get better every week, trying to find things that work for me, trying to really put that just best friend kindness thing to myself at the forefront right now. And from there, try to just like go with the flow of life a little bit more instead of being so controlling, such a fucking just hard ass, all that shit. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. I honestly just kind of talked this week, which maybe that's all I do every week, but I feel like I didn't come in with like a huge plan of attack for what I was going to chat about this week, but hopefully it's helped you out in some respect. If it did, make sure that you like, subscribe, share with a friend. All that stuff really helps Matt and I grow the podcast, get it out to more people, and help some more people. So we appreciate you. Thanks for watching, listening every week. Hope you have a good rest of the day, and I'll be talking to you soon.